Well, hello to everybody again. And on this series where we get to know the story behind the Action Coach, it's really a privilege to have one of the wise sages in the business join us today. Shirley, really an honor to have you join us and for us to get to know you a lot more in detail today. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure, Harry.
So Shirley, maybe give us a little bit of a background. You know, you've been a coach for almost 10 years in the business, but you had a whole life before that. What did you do before you came across Action Coach?
Yeah, so I've basically, I think I last earned a salary check in about 93, probably only had one employer in my life, and started out really in labor relations, specialized in that, and then leaving which is atypical, started a labor relations business. So I did that for many years. And then was also involved in a family business with my husband as well at a stage. Yeah, so that's really what I did. Had my own businesses before I became a coach. Did a stint as a CCMA commissioner when the commission first started. So, you know, that was really interesting, and I got great experience from that.
And you were obviously in those early 90s. You know, in labor relations, which was obviously an interesting time for that field in particular in South African history. How do you think that labor relations background and even something like the CCMA commissioner, you know, helps you as a coach today when dealing with clients and their staff issues?
Yeah, Harry, you know, I understand the employment relationship so thoroughly. I really do. I feel completely instinctive about the relationship, right from sort of shop floor level right throughout, you know, into the senior exec level where, you know, you're making decisions around what to happen in the businesses. So, you know, I think that, I mean, if you're going to grow a big business, you're going to have teams, and within teams, you're going to have huge amounts of dynamics. So just sort of having worked and been involved right from a shop floor sort of level, it's great experience, great understanding. And then, I mean, you just negotiation skills, you know, you're doing that all the time. And then conflict, labor relations is conflict resolution. So I'm very comfortable in conflict and working through conflict to find resolutions. So I think those are the main things that have sort of played out and put me in good standing with the coaching that I'm now doing.
Okay, so let's go back to that moment 10 years ago where you thought, well, you know, labor relations, it was in my past, business coaching is in my future, and you joined us at ActionCOACH. What was it about the business coaching that was the attraction for you in the first place?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, there were sort of two sides to it. The one was that I'd been in labor relations so long, it was time to move out. You know, I didn't have the heart anymore for it. And so then, so that's on the sort of moving away from side. The moving to was that the business coaching gave me an opportunity to do dynamic work, which was really positive, you know, far more positive. In labor relations, you tend to be managing negative relationships, whereas this gave me the opportunity to create much more positive, forward thinking, have positive influences going forward. So I think that was, you know, a hell of a big draw card for me. And I like the fact that it was diverse. You know, I've never been, you know, I've always worked, even when I was employed, I worked for a business that had multiple branches and outlets. So I've always worked with diversity. And lots going on. So I love the fact for the business coaching that we work with such diverse business owners, diverse industries. So that makes it very dynamic and interesting for me.
So that's often something that people grapple to get their head around when we say, you know, we literally coach any business from small business to multi-billion rand business, entrepreneurial in any industry. So maybe for some context, what are the types of clients that you've coached over the last decade?
Sure. Well, I mean, there's the trades, you know, trade businesses, the plumbers, electrical businesses, which we do really nicely with. Then you've got your sort of professional services, legal firms that I've coached, had great results out of that. And then people in environmental services, people in retail, people in print industry, people in IT. So I'm trying to think of them as you go. So, it's just so diverse in terms of the types of industries and types of businesses we're coaching. What you call e-commerce businesses. So, yeah, very wide range.
Petrochemical, construction, the import, export, the list goes on and on. But I think within that, there's a lot of diversity too of people, different backgrounds, different experience levels, different dreams and aspirations. So maybe let's go first to the negative side. We'll go back to the labor relations days, the conflict, the bad stuff. What's a client that you've really struggled with? Somebody that was not an easy client, both as a personality and maybe even in the journey of the coaching the business.
Well, I suppose the biggest challenge with coaching is that the business owner wants change. The business owner wants their businesses to be better, but they, like all of us, are stuck in the patterns of the past. And so, that it requires a change. It requires we're all on a trajectory. If we're wanting to arrive at a different place, we have to change our trajectory. And really, sort of from clients that I found extremely difficult to coach is where they don't want to risk their significance. They don't want to make the changes. I find it quite difficult to coach in a situation where my client isn't the one paying for it. If he's got an investor or someone paying for it, then it's too easy not to put in the work and not to be properly invested in the relationship. Because at the end of the day, we don't have a want, so it requires the business owner to be able to make changes, sometimes changes that he doesn't necessarily want to make, changes that are uncomfortable. If the changes were comfortable, he would have already made them. Or she would have already made them. If they were easy, they would have done it. I mean, we don't coach fools. Our business owners generally are highly skilled in their industry. They know their business backwards. I mean, they bring enormous skill to the table. And they're not where they find themselves because they don't know their industry or their business. So something's got to change. And that's the difficulty. In my experience, that's the biggest difficulty. Where business owners are prepared to go for it, make the change, risk some of the fear that goes with change, then generally we can get the results for the business.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we coach ideally from the top down in the organization, because it has to be able to move and be dynamic and have that change, which, as you rightfully said, all of us like our comfort zone, and you're paying for that privilege to move, and then one needs to move. So what do you think what makes you unique? If somebody was considering working with a coach, why should they work with you? What do you believe you really bring to the party as a coach?
Well, I mean, I think I have such an instinctive understanding of the dynamic of the business throughout the depths of it. I'm very strong on team and how to get a team to work. As I said, I'm not scared of conflict. So I'm prepared to have the tough conversations when they need to be had. I also think I'm able to get it across and package it and put it in such a way that's doable, that's not theory, it's not impractical, so that the business owners are able to implement and able to get going and to understand, to really buy in and understand what they need to do and why they need to do it. So, Harry, I think that's, probably, a big strength. I mean, I think that the Action Coach framework and the Action Coach, being part of the Action Coach franchise, I believe, adds further dynamic aspect to it. I mean, you know, I've had to make the decision, does one carry on with the franchise? Does one, you know, go just as an independent? And at the end of the day, I continue to invest in the franchise because I believe it enhances my coaching and my team's coaching. I'm plugged in, completely immersed in the discipline of coaching and the profession of coaching. So my investment in the franchise gives my clients, you know, added value through that dynamic process. So I definitely think that also enhances what I'm able to bring to the party for clients.
Okay. Yeah, and having sat in on some of those conflict situations with clients, maybe between partners, you know, seeing you go very straight to the point, that intuition you were speaking about, but almost do it in a compassionate, nice way that, you know, breaks it down and actually gets people to move. So you mentioned about that reinvestment and the franchise, and obviously in our business, one can grow a very successful single practice business, you know, you on your own, or one can go and build more a firm, and then you've chosen to go that route to bring on a team to grow a much bigger business. What's the reasoning behind that? Why the bigger business for you and investing in the firm and having that extra reach, extra scale? Yeah.
So for me, I love business. So I like having my own business for a start. So that I enjoy that. I just think that we have a skill set that has a bigger role to play in the society in which we live. I really believe that. I've always believed that from, you know, one of my main motivations of going the coaching route. I mean, I don't have to tell you what the unemployment situation is in the country. And, you know, we just know from experience around the world, we just know from what we know in terms of what goes on in countries when we're in this situation, that private enterprise is the only way out. And my skill set and what I love doing is growing businesses. Now, I mean, when I'm fully, you know, coaching as many businesses, what I'm impacting 25 businesses maybe, you know, I mean, it's just a drop in the ocean. So lovely, the 25 businesses get the benefit. I have a lovely time, you know, I feel great because I get great results. But at the end of the day, so what? The impact is so small. And then what? You know, my children are all living overseas because the country is in a mess and, you know, can't sustain a stable society because people can't sustain themselves, you know. So, you know, I mean, we can't change the world, and I'm not trying to suggest that, you know, I'm the savior of anything, but I can just do the best that I can. So for me to bring on more coaches and to have a bigger firm and for them to run little mini businesses within this business with the support team supporting them, because at the end of the day, you need the support team to be able to do what we do. For me, it just seems like a win-win all around. You know, I still get to coach and enjoy that, but I can build a support team that can bring on more and more coaches, and that way we can impact a much wider range, much more businesses. And if we can impact more businesses, grow those businesses, make them stronger, you know, we can really impact the society in which we live, which gives us all a fighting chance, gives my children, my grandchildren a fighting chance. So I'm going to give it my best shot. And luckily, I love doing it. So,
well, saw that in your face when I asked the question, when you said, you know, I love business. And I often joke and say I'm the most proudly South African person I know, except maybe when I'm talking to Shirley, and then I think we're equals there, because the impact we get to make, and I think that's the important part, is the bigger impact. So talk us through maybe an example of that impact. A client, you know, and I know there are many, so to isolate one's maybe very difficult, but one client where you think, geez, you know, there was such a transformation, whether it was the individual or the business or both, that really stands out as a success story for you.
Sure. All right. Well, I mean, there are the two sides of that. The one is just the profitability, improvement in profitability. So clients that are just getting by, maybe not business owners just earning enough to posting a 3.5 million rand profit for the year, you know, which is just, it's just an awesome transformation within that context. And then businesses that have, in January, I've had a number of businesses this year, interestingly enough, have reached their turnover and profit goal within 2 weeks of January. Before that, sort of between 2-3 weeks into January for the year, with just over a month to spare. So they cleared it. So that's really exciting. And then all of those businesses that I'm talking about have all added team. So between them, I'm going 10, another 5, another 3. What's that? So nearly about 20, just in those businesses that where we've really been able to impact the growth and the profitability. So yeah, those are, Harry, off the top of my head, the sort of our latest wins that we've had. And I think the other thing that's quite interesting, you know, at our 90-day planning, which we have every quarter, I mean, we will always have 2 or 3 business owners in a room of about 45 business owners. And I would say over the last 3, we've always had, even sort of when all the COVID thing was really going, we've had companies who have been posting their best months ever. And I mean, that's like, wow, you know, and they're not necessarily in industries where, you know, like COVID is an obvious spinner for them, so to speak. You know, there are those as well, of course. So that's been interesting. And I do want to say this, they're not doing it because they got lucky. We're working really hard. They're working really hard at staying focused, doing the right thing, you know, and they're getting the rewards from it. So that's very rewarding.
I think, like anything, you put the effort in, you know, consistently, you get the results. But it is important to note that you've got many clients, and as you mentioned, that quarterly growth club planning event that we do, that have literally had their best year ever in the business, despite the fact that, you know, the economy is still under pressure, we're still not fully back to normal. So if I was a business sitting here going, well, I'm reasonably successful, I've done okay, what should I be thinking about when wanting to reach out to you and engage with you as a coach? How do I move from my comfort zone to doing what you're doing with the firm, making it a bigger impact, growing, and engaging with a coach to help me on that journey? Yeah, so I mean, you know, there are two main ways in which we're engaging at the initial engagement with potential clients, people who might be interested. And the one is to invite them to a seminar, which is a 2.5-hour seminar, and basically just we share with them, you know, what we look at when we look at businesses and how we work with businesses. So it's a really dynamic 2.5 hours, and they'll walk away from that with a couple of aha moments, BFOs, and stuff that they'll be able to implement in the business. And then obviously on the back end of that, for people who want to see if this specifically would like to work with themselves and their business, you know, we're happy to meet with them afterwards. The other one is to give, you know, offer a free coaching session to qualified business owners, you know, business owners that have really built a decent sort of business and want to explore whether working with us would be able to take their business that much further. And I mean, I think, Harry, at the end of the day, you know, there's this misconception that business coaching is around, you know, helping ailing businesses. We really try not to touch an ailing business. It's just, you know, it'll just take too many resources that they don't have for us to get it where we want it to get to. So we really get best results out of good businesses. So it's, you know, it's a bit like coaching the A team in sport or the D team in sport, you know. And the A team have really got, you know, good businesses. They've really got a bit of traction going. They've got lots of good things happening. So now we can really just polish it up. And that normally gets a much better return on investment. So, you know, that's how we engage. And we try and be very selective of who we take on. You know, as you know, we guarantee our results. So, you know, I don't want to be taking on a client if I can't give them a return on investment within the first 90 days. So,
Yeah, so it's a case of sitting down with the business owner, getting a proper understanding of where the business is at, what the expectations are, and then for us to see, you know, is this a business where the business owner is open to change? You know, will they reach their goals quicker by working with the coach, and will they get a return on investment?
Absolutely. And as Shirley rightly said, they're very much about delivering results, backing it up with a guarantee. And therefore, you know, if often businesses wait too late before they engage with something, and then they're those ailing businesses that are too hard to turn around. So if you're in that position, make the decision rather sooner rather than later. If you're stuck, and I think a lot of our business owners have grown the business to a point where they can't take it any further, or they're stuck, or they've maybe got a little bit lazy because they know there's potential, but they haven't pushed through on it. Or if those businesses, like you said, that are really good, that want to really take it to the next level and make it a great, super performing business, then Shirley's definitely, her and her team are the people to reach out to, because that love for business with that intuition of what makes it work and that direct but caring approach can only bring about results. So Shirley, you know, the first decade has been an amazing journey, and no doubt more to come. But from our side, you know, people can see another great human in this business, another great proudly South African wanting to make an impact. So we thank you for that and look forward to another 10 years minimum of great success for you and your team. Thank you very much for your time today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Harry. Thanks for your time.